the 40-year-olds. They're not young royals.
Well, and
they're different now. The vibe is different. The whole mood and shift. Well, now
people can't stop talking about how Prince Harry fell from royal life to broke vibes. And the shocking part is he even asked David Beckham for a $50 million loan. But the same Harry who once bragged about freedom and building his own empire is now seen as begging friends for help. And the worst part, Beckham just said no. And that rejection is another big embarrassment.
Go on to George, Charlotte and Louis. And they will become really, frankly, bit part players. Now, they won't like that. And that's probably what this is all about, making sure they've got a presence.
Prince Harry keeps facing one embarrassment after another, and now everyone sees his money problems getting worse. With falling income, failed deals, Spotify dropping them, Netflix losing interest, and with Meghan spending, plus Harry refusing to cut back, their empire is collapsing. So talk of bankruptcy didn't really surprise anyone.
A brand to monetize, because pretty soon they're going to be really so far removed from the main game. They're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royals.
I think Valentine Lowe wrote that in his book, didn't he? Or I seem to remember.
What really shocked people was how desperate Prince Harry got, because instead of cutting costs or finding small investors, he went straight to David Beckham, asking for a massive $50 million loan, and even his own circle was stunned, since that kind of money is not just a backup, it's a full lifestyle rescue. And the fact that Harry asked for such a huge amount shows just how serious his money troubles are.
Val writing about saying that Harry did have fears that he might, become irrelevant into his 50s, and they're making a huge noise at the moment.
Yeah,
but he undoubtedly will. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince that, a gentleman, someone formerly known as.
But Beckham was not having it at all. Insiders say he didn't just say no politely; he totally refused. And for Harry, that was harsh because Beckham was not just some star. He used to be a close ally, a shiny link between the royals and global fame. So this rejection is more than just about money. It shows the world that even his big, powerful friends don't see him as worth supporting anymore.
Prince, that's what he will be. And that will be not the same as they talk about, he's got an appeal with the younger generation. Well, they'll be thinking, who is this guy? They wouldn't even know who he is.
I think it's also trying to kind of make things a bit more positive.
The friendship between the Sussexes and the Beckhams had been rocky ever since Meghan allegedly accused Victoria of leaking stories, which insiders say made the Beckhams furious. So when Harry asked for money, it wasn't just about cash. It was years of mistrust and drama, and Beckham's no became the final nail in their friendship. And now the biggest damage is how people see Harry.
Some journalists in America who were saying how we love a kind of boy or girl done good. And the fact that for Harry and Meghan, for a very long time, a lot of the stories have been negative and around, we felt badly treated by the royal family.
Once seen as a soldier, a royal, and a rebel, Prince Harry is now being mocked for begging rich friends to save him. And instead of looking like a man protecting his family, people see him as a desperate prince clinging to fame, while his brand falls apart with headlines calling him Harry the Borrower, memes all over the internet, and people saying he is Hollywood's most expensive burden. The embarrassment is huge because losing money is bad, but losing dignity is even worse. And if Harry thought Beckham's no would stay private, he was totally wrong.
And certainly with Meghan, look, with the twerking video and her really kind of owning her social media, I think you're seeing that kind of, right, I'm going to be more upbeat, I'm going to be positive. And we're sort of waiting for more of that, I think, from Harry.
But then, of course, they're already ahead of them.
In Hollywood, secrets never last, and Beckham's rejection of Harry spread fast, turning into the big story of his money troubles and in LA, where reputation is everything. People whispered that if even Beckham wouldn't back Harry, then no one else would. And suddenly, Harry and Meghan no longer looked like power players.
The game with the Sussexes, because they've done their branding for their two children. Mm-hmm. She's writing a diary entry every night to Archie and Lilibet. I wonder what that's for, the diary of Archie and Lilibet. I don't know, it's a nice book. But they know that
people began to see Harry and Meghan as risky instead of powerful, asking how a prince with huge Netflix and Spotify deals could be close to broke. But with the mansion jets, PR teams, and bills, it looked like they were just burning money, and even supporters started thinking independence was just a cover for bad choices.
Those two will be, and they've got all their branding around that, they will be something that they will be able to monetize. And unfortunately about the Sussexes, I just call them H&M, because I don't believe they should have the title, is all about the money. And of course,
For Meghan, this is turning into a full-blown nightmare because everything she has ever tried to show in Hollywood was about being powerful, stylish, and in charge of her own story. She wanted people to look at her as a cultural leader, a trendsetter, someone with influence and control. But the Beckham loan drama has ripped that image apart in the worst way. Because honestly, what looks glamorous about asking for $50 million and what feels powerful about being rejected by a friend in front of the whole world. The carefully built picture she and Harry worked on for years collapsed overnight, and now, instead of being admired as a Hollywood power couple, they are being mocked as clueless celebrities who spend recklessly and can't even handle their own lives. The internet is filled with jokes, memes, and endless commentary about their downfall, and the humiliation just keeps growing. But the part that cuts the deepest for Harry is how this all makes the palace look completely right. Because when he and Meghan stormed out of royal life, they loudly promised independence, freedom, and success outside the crown. They painted the royals as outdated, strict, and obsessed with control. But now, with the constant rumors of bankruptcy, with failed deals, falling income, and Harry going to Beckham with desperate pleas, it looks like all their promises were empty, and the palace that they once criticized is quietly proven right. And for Harry and Meghan, that quiet vindication from the royals might hurt more than the money troubles themselves.
There's a lot of this, and let's not be too cynical. Yes, he wants reconciliation with his father. His father has a finite time on this earth. There's a lot of money to be distributed, and I'm sure that's a conversation that needs to be had.
So we asked, ultimately, should the king remove the Sussex's titles for Harry and Meghan? And 91...
And now, with Hollywood gossip tearing him apart and calling him a liability, the fall of Prince Harry has started to feel like a script that even his worst critics could not have written better. Because the truth is, the royal family has not had to say or do a single thing to make him look bad. He has done all the damage on his own. When he and Meghan stormed out of palace life, they shouted about freedom, they promised independence, and told the world they no longer needed the monarchy or its money. They claimed they would stand on their own and build an empire bigger and brighter than anything the crown could offer. But only a few years later, Harry is running to friends with desperate pleas, not for support or advice, but for bailout money. And not a small favor either, but a shocking $50 million loan request. And the rejection from David Beckham made it 10 times worse behind the palace walls. You can almost hear the quiet laughter, the deep satisfaction. Because for them, this is proof that the boy who wanted freedom has finally learned the harshest truth. Freedom is not easy, it is not glamorous, it is not simple. Freedom is expensive, brutal, and unforgiving. And now, this is not just some embarrassing headline that will vanish in a week. This is the type of scandal that sticks to a person forever. It becomes their identity, because when people look at Harry now, they don't see the brave soldier who served with pride. They don't see the caring philanthropist who wanted to make a difference. They don't even see the bold rebel prince who once stood up to tradition. Instead, they see a man stripped of his dignity, a man who is begging his famous friends to keep him afloat, a man who was turned down flat by one of the most respected and admired stars in sports and entertainment. And that picture is devastating. The world now mocks him as the begging prince, the fallen duke, and his name has turned into a cautionary tale about wasted privilege, poor choices, and reckless pride. And in Hollywood, where image is everything, reputation is like currency and weakness is punished. The damage is deadly because once you are seen as desperate, unreliable, and out of touch, it becomes almost impossible to rebuild. And now that shadow hangs heavy over Harry and Meghan, with every headline, every whisper, every cruel meme, tightening the grip on a story that might define them for years to come.
The Senate said absolutely.
I agree with
Well,
that.
that's...
You agree with that,
I
Rob?
agree with it.
Do you?
I think because they've disobeyed the HRH and they've flaunted that. They're now talking about, oh, I'm Meghan Sussex. Well, you're slightly, taking the key out of the royal family. You want it out. You wanted to.
Perception really is everything, and once your name starts being linked with desperation and failure, it is not just about doors closing, it is about them being locked tight with no key to open again. And that is exactly the place Prince Harry seems to have landed in. Because the Beckham loan saga feels less like a single bad headline and more like the exact moment the Sussex brand went from being controversial and noisy to being plain irrelevant. And that is something far worse than criticism, because controversy can still attract attention. But irrelevance is the slow death of a brand. And while being rejected by David Beckham was already humiliating beyond words, what came after from the public made it 10 times more brutal, because the internet wasted no time in turning it into a global circus. Social media platforms erupted with endless jokes, memes, and side-by-side clips mocking him. Twitter was flooded with posts calling him the begging prince and Harry the borrower. One viral tweet summed it up with brutal honesty, saying, "Imagine leaving the royal family for independence, only to go bankrupt and beg Beckham for $50 million," and on TikTok. It was even harsher. People began stitching old clips of Harry's speeches, where he bragged about independence and financial freedom, and putting them next to the news of Beckham's rejection with captions like, "Freedom costs more than you thought. Haha." The irony was painful, and it spread fast. The same words that once made him look bold and rebellious now made him look clueless, desperate, and out of touch. And what cuts even deeper is that this time, it was not only critics or tabloids laughing at him. Even fans who once stood by him, defended him, and showed sympathy, are now openly questioning his choices and wondering if all that talk about independence was just smoke and mirrors. Because if after huge Netflix and Spotify deals he still ended up here, then what was the plan? Really? The narrative has shifted completely, and Harry is no longer being seen as someone fighting against a strict system, but as someone who made bad choices, spent recklessly, and is now paying the price. And in Hollywood, where image is the strongest currency, that is the kind of stain that does not fade. It follows you around like a shadow, shaping every deal, every meeting, every headline to come. Netflix viewers are even trolling under with love. Meghan promos saying stuff like, "Maybe if the show wasn't so boring, you wouldn't need a bailout," and that tells you everything. Because the audience is not just disappointed, they are laughing, and laughter in the court of public opinion is way more dangerous than hate. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Harry asking for 50 million shows how deep his money troubles really are? Was Beckham right to slam the door on him? And is this the real beginning of the end for the Sussex brand in Hollywood? Tell me your thoughts. In the comments, I will feature the sharpest ones in my next video. And if you want to stay updated on every twist from Meghan's Netflix flop to Harry's desperate money grabs, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, and smash. Like, so more people see this expose. Because the truth is, Harry didn't just lose a loan, he lost his reputation, his dignity, and the last bit of credibility, keeping his Hollywood dream alive. And once you become the punchline of your own downfall, there is no coming back. If you want the latest gossip and deep dives into all the Hollywood drama, make sure to hit that subscribe button on Bella Breaks, tap the bell icon, so you never miss an update, and smash that like button to help us reach more people and stay ahead of every twist and turn in the saga.